All right, guys, you're listening to the cold cast, the cold cast up in the attic. Perfect timing. Today, I'm Nathan Brandt, co-founder of Coal Iron Works. Today, we're here with Charlie Ellis. What's your Instagram handle?
Charles Lionheart.
Lionheart. What's the name of do you have a company or is it just under?
Yeah. Which my website's Charles Lionheart too.
Okay.
Which when I filed for taxes or whatever that stuff, I did Eagle Crest Forge because I couldn't think of anything else like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Or 14 years ago.
14. So is that how long have you been blacksmithing, making knives and stuff?
Like when I was 14, I started.
Yeah.
Which, the first few years don't really count for much, but
yeah,
it's
that's
good for
the stuff. Though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They would just say like, I've been doing this since I was 14 years old.
No, I totally do that.
But yeah, since, so like 17 was when I really started getting into it and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're how old now?
32.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the math of that is in there somewhere. Someone will do that for us.
Yeah. It doesn't matter.
So tell me about your work. Tell me about what got you initially interested in forging?
Yeah, just being a little snotty nose 14-year-old reading Lord of the Rings and watching the movies when I was allowed to.
Guys. Yeah, sure.
It took a little bit of convincing
at
first, which of course, like we had some friends that they were watching it, and of course your parents always walk in when the Urukai are being birthed in the mud pit.
What are you watching?
But yeah, after reading the books and a little bit of convincing, I was allowed to watch them.
So then seeing the blades, was that you directly started right into knife making, and your interest was primarily swords and...
Yeah, swords and armor and stuff, which I did a little bit of that, but there's not a huge market for swords and armor. So,
yeah.
And it's just so time consuming too,
Yeah.
Started doing more knives and stuff, and I really enjoy doing Christian knives are my main focus.
Yeah.
That's the most useful knife to the most widest range of people, everyone eats.
Yeah. So
most people cook.
So you started to notice that you were able to sell that more, and you had more of a base of people that you could supply with the chef's knives. So then did you kind of constrain yourself creatively to apply your interests specifically towards that? Or did you just kind of find yourself naturally gravitating towards those shapes and designs?
Yeah, I just really enjoy the shape of them and the functionality of them.
Yeah.
It's just because you have a wider blade, there's just for patterning, for Damascus, you have a bigger playground to play with.
Yeah.
It's fun. I enjoy it.
So when you were getting started outside of Lord of the Rings, what were your inspirations as you were kind of coming into your own creatively?
So long ago.
What stuff stands out to you as important to where you are today? What started that roadmap?
Yeah, which I took classes at the Haywood Community College in Clyde, North Carolina.
Okay.
And then they had ABS hammer-ins there, so Jason Knight would be there, and Bert Foster, and a bunch of other makers, blanking on names, but
sure,
James Rodabaugh, and Jason Knight for sure, and Bert Foster, they were a big influence on me, getting into things and being like, oh man, that's the potential of what you could do with it,
Yeah, absolutely,
style wise and functionality.
And what would you say your kind of artistic bent is today? What do you specialize in?
Yeah, I've got a few different kind of flavors, the more faceted geometric aspects and then more flowy shapes as well. I enjoy both of them, you know.
Are both of them though in your execution? Because I've seen your Instagram and there's a lot of math in your Instagram. Yeah. So is everything you do really like mathematical?
Just like the patterning and stuff, you know.
Sure.
Not really design-wise.
So patterning more so than the shape of the knife.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, which I've tried doing like golden ratio stuff and I can never, it just feels like shoehorned in and I never get a shape that looks right. So I just do what looks right, you know, to me.
So do you start with a design in mind and plan your way through it? Because everything that you do seems very like you are executing on a vision. Is that true? Is that pretty accurate how your workflow goes? Or
yeah, for the most part, which sometimes too, I'll just have like a general, like I'm just going to make an 8-inch chef.
Yeah.
And then I'll forge something out and maybe it'll be a little different than what I was shooting for. But when I have that blade profiled, that's where I really design and build from that.
Yeah.
Which sometimes I do have like a design which I'll make out a steel template and work to that template. But most of the time I'm just free form, having fun at the forge and playing with it.
So do you primarily, as you're building your blades, are you working on a commission basis? Do you make your blades and then offer them for sale? Like have you done both? And tell me about some of your experiences along the way.
Yeah, I've done both. I've closed my books. I've just been making stuff and selling it. It's just, it's because, you know, you're always trying to quote a price and then you're regretting the price you quoted and hating yourself as you're deciding that those little extra steps that you just want to do just to do them. It's like, well, I'm not making money from doing this, which I don't really, you never really make your money on it anyways, you know, it's just a passion thing and just to show off and and do something to make yourself feel good, you know.
Sure.
See what you can do, you know.
Right. Well, and so that's a perfect problem for someone like yourself that's an artist in a position you're trying to make a living and you have a family to support. You've got 3 small kids, and a wife, and you're trying to manage. So you're how long ago did you go full time in your making?
Yeah, it's like 3.5 years now. It'll be 4 in August. So.
And what pushed you to make that decision?
I was working for another blacksmith. I was working with him for 5 years, and there was, like, I was starting to do less hours to have more time to work on knives.
Sure.
But then it was like working less hours. I wasn't making enough a week to live off of, and I didn't have enough time after that to get stuff done fast enough to make up for it. So I just felt like I had to just go for it and jump. And my wife was really supportive too, because it was at a point where it's either like I gotta get another job somewhere else and do that, or like just believe in myself and buckle down and go full time.
So you went full time. Did you have a backlog of work, or
I had a couple little orders, you know, but it was mostly just like, I think I can sell this stuff, you know, I think I can make do, you know. Which it was the first year or two, there was some pretty squeaky getting by times, but
of course,
you know, we always got the bills paid in time, and we didn't get into debt at all. So it's like, that's doing better than
a lot of people. So then,
hey, Nathan.
So before our brief reprieve, we were just talking about you had gotten to the point where you couldn't work enough while maintaining your day job to move into the full-time work. And I was talking about, I think, did you have a backlog? You said I had
a couple orders.
So, I mean, I'm really curious about this point. because personally, I was in a similar boat when I decided to go full time. It was like I couldn't physically work enough hours in a week. But I also couldn't look at it and tell my wife, and we had a young family. I only had one kid at that point. I couldn't like point to anything and say, this will keep us safe. You know what I mean? Like it was very much like, I need you to trust me that this is going to be okay. And my wife was super supportive. But it was, I mean, she was a full-time stay-at-home mom by our second kid. And so it got really scary. It was like it all happened. It was really exciting, but it was also really scary. Yeah. Did you have a similar experience?
Yeah, we had just the one kid at that point too, and my wife was staying at home with him, and like we had like hardly any savings. You know, it's like all the things that they say not to do when you start a business. But it's like, I mean, what are you gonna do? You either gotta try it or which like where we're living is my mother-in-law's house. She basically letting us live there for free, like just covering taxes and insurance and stuff. Cause
very cool.
She got remarried and moved up to Tennessee.
Okay. So you've got that whole property. Mm-hmm. Oh, that's awesome.
Which, that's a huge, like, I probably couldn't even do what I do if I had to pay rent and pay shop rent or whatever.
Absolutely.
Especially Asheville area, it's insane around there.
Yeah. But so you've got your shop on your property. Tell me about your shop. How big is it?
It's like 14 by 20.
But
yeah, it's the job done.
Yeah. You got everything in there, all your grinders, all your equipment, like what?
Yeah, like all the finishing work I do on my forging, I'm able to do that where I used to work. He lets me rent shop time from him for that. So,
got it.
Which, a day or two of making steel and forging blades, and that keeps me busy for a month or two. So.
Sure. Well, especially when you're forging the kind of stuff that you're forging. That's crazy. Can you see the Kelly sticker? God bless it. Nobody will know. Hold on. The thing I think that's most unnerving about this is that countdown clock. It just reminds me that it takes me a long time to do anything because all I'm doing is talking.
It's counting up.
You know what I mean. Yeah, okay. Well, tomato. So what about, I've seen you moved into making some tools. Mm-hmm. Tell me about how you ended up there. What's that process been like?
Yeah, like I'm always looking for more efficient ways to work and stuff, and just ways to make it easier to do stuff, you know. And sharing stuff on Instagram, I noticed that stuff like that really caught a lot of attention,
Sure.
So I did that, that like work rest that sits, the double work rest that sit to the side of the platen, so you can do any kind of angle, there's no constraints to it, and you can just swap out belts without having to move stuff, which is nice. So yeah, like I made one just for myself to do it, and people were like, "Oh, I want one of those." Okay, so which of course that one, took me like a day and a half to make because I was figuring out what the heck I'm doing,
Yeah.
So I ordered some materials to make like 6 of them to see how long it'd take me now that I've figured out what I'm doing, and extrapolated the price from that.
Yeah.
And those all sold like in 10 minutes. I was like, well, I guess people want these. So after that, I set up a pre-order so that I would know, how many people wanted one. Yeah. Right. So like because you don't want to make, 50 of them and then 10 people buy them and you're sitting on 40 work rests. But I sold a bunch of them and they've been keeping me busy for a couple months. So.
That's been awesome to see. Kind of you tooling up. So do you have that equipment in your shop? You're using a Bridgeport and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, Bridgeport and surface grinder.
Yeah.
Bought a Tapmatic to tap all the holes.
Yep. Yeah.
So they had, and just making some dedicated jigs to make those work rests.
Yeah.
Really made it more efficient to make them. So hopefully more people want it. I'm ready for it.
Do you sell those on your website?
Mm-hmm.
And that's
CharlesLionheart.com.
CharlesLionheart.com. Charles charleslionheart.com for WordPress. I didn't even notice the fact that you could swap the belts without changing them because I don't make knives. I'm not a knife maker. I throw major shade at knife makers just because they make me feel bad about myself. And your work and your beautiful bread knife especially has made me feel a lot of insufficiency. But that's beautiful. No, go back to that. I want to see that again. Go to the one with the go back one.
No.
Oh my gosh, these are so that. What kind of wood is that?
African blackwood.
That's so pretty. And then you did like what's the little thing on the butt? That's
what's
that called? Is that holding the handle on?
It's kind of a cap for that. There's a
like a fastener.
A fastener under it. Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool.
Where some people will do like have a Corby bolt or like a tang nut to do it, but I like to just have a bolt underneath and then I cap it with that cap.
That's really pretty. Is that what this is?
Yeah, that's
so that would be. So you've been. This looks complicated. So is this
a lot of setup?
Is this 3 pieces?
Mm-hmm.
So this is tapped, and then you thread this and put that in.
Yeah, the tang is a shoulder screw that I grind down to a taper.
Oh, okay. Oh my gosh!
And then tap the end for
so much handwork.
632. Yeah, so I started doing those bolt-on tanks just so I could do like all those funky curve transitions. Because doing that with a tang in the way, it's like
there's no way.
There's no way. Yeah, you'd have to figure out a way to clamp that to where you could flip it. But then you'd also need like a pantograph or something to do that curve. But without the tang in the way, you can just go to the grinder and
shape it.
And
you can do the same to the positive that's going to fit into. That's really slick. So you brought some gifts. You brought this beautiful bread knife for me. That was so nice of you to bring that by.
No, I made this for myself. The one knife that I've made for myself in like, I don't know if I've made myself knives before this, you know, because I've got knives of my own, but they're always like those screw ups and stuff.
Right.
It's like, well, I can't sell that one. I guess going on the knife block.
I guess I'll keep it. Yeah, right. That's beautiful.
Yeah, I started doing sourdough a couple years ago, and I didn't have a good serrated knife.
That's why I need that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I was like, I don't need a serrated knife. I can use my chef knife is sharp enough. And you're like, well, I guess that crust is, I didn't realize the crust was that hard.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So do you still make sourdough?
Yeah, every once in a while. I don't do it as much, but
yeah,
I like to make a loaf every once in a while.
What got you into sourdough? You can't make me stop talking about this, Evan.
Just tastes so good. It's my favorite bread. Yeah.
Yeah. So my wife started making sourdough when we moved to our farm, and when we got married, she had never cooked. I mean, she didn't know how to make rice, and so she's moved from that to she makes us a loaf of sourdough almost every day.
Oh, wow.
And it's good. It's good. It's really good. Well, I'm gonna have to take your knife.
What recipe does she use?
Oh, she does all different kinds. Yeah, she does. She has this huge starter, that she's been feeding for the last year, and it's just really fun. It's fun to explore. The kids love it. They love to do it with her, and they've learned about how hot the oven can get. Yeah. It gets real hot. We bake it in one of those big cast iron
Dutch ovens.
Dutch ovens, yeah. Well, it's enameled.
Enameled, yeah.
I don't know if it's got a different name or not, but she does like a 2-day proof or whatever it's called, and then we put it in and it's oh my gosh. But so we have a friend that's local to us that is a flower farmer. He's got 50 acres, I think, and he only grows flowers on like 1 acre. And the rest is all in maple grove, and he like taps the trees for maple syrup in the winter, and then he grows flowers all summer. But he's been experimenting with heritage varieties of wheats, and I've been trying to get him to give me some so we can make sourdough, because he has this black wheat, this black fall wheat, I think. It's black. It's like a field of black. It's very goth. And but the thing is, modern flour that you get has had everything extracted from it. And so if we get the wheat from him, then I need to learn how to make a stone grinder. and I have a plan, and I think I know what to do. But anyway, it's really
cool.
Yeah, it would be cool. It's not economic, but it's like you said, it's like this is the first thing that you made for yourself. It's like we've been growing the business for a couple years and doing all that kind of stuff, and I have recently realized that joy of making again, and really finding the pride and fulfillment in something done not to sell. It's like a nice little reprieve in the midst of a lot of work. So you have a small, like, do you have an audience of people that you primarily sell to? Like, how do you sell your work?
Yeah. Like I have a couple of dealers that I supply. So like I can always trust on them wanting stuff on me. Eating Tools up in New York.
Oh, sure. I've heard of them.
Yeah. And then Blade Gallery out in Washington. Yeah. They'll get stuff in Crocker Cutlery out in California. He gets stuff from me every once in a while too.
Yeah.
So.
Now, are those Eating Tools is online? Are those all online platforms? Or are they? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which Blade Gallery and Crocker Cutlery, they have actual storefronts too. But I don't think Eating Tools does. I think Eating Tools is just online.
Yeah, I think so. I'm not. I Google their things regularly. So you make one knife and then you contact them and say, do you want this? Like, what's that? I have no idea how this works. I'm really curious.
Yeah. I'll usually, I'll make a run of knives and offer some of them to them, because they're taking a cut, commission for selling this stuff. So it's kind of it's good publicity and dependability, knowing that they'll take stuff, but then it's like, I could have made, I could have made this much instead of this much. But so yeah, it's that. And then just through my website, putting stuff on there and getting the mailing list going to have that for people to be notified when I have stuff available.
Yeah. So you said earlier that you closed your books. We also closed our custom books because it was always brutal. Like everything that we did custom was, I would cry. I'm not kidding. So is that it? Like, you just never found a formula that left you with profitability, or was it really stressful to work with clients? Like what about it was difficult?
Like customers, there's one or two that were a pain, but for the most part, they were wanting to get something from me because they wanted something from me,
Right.
Make me something cool,
Yeah.
But then, there's always the guy that's super picky and stuff, has their vision that they want,
Right.
But yeah, it's too much time going towards that when I could just be making this stuff,
Sure. So do you look at it then now more as like you're exploring your interests and like your creative expression in your work specifically, and then it's kind of, because you said you kind of set the constraint of I'm going to work in chef's knives because they're practical, but you're obviously making beautiful chef's knives. So is the practical constraint enough to kind of like give you the audience that you're shooting for? Like, or do you find yourself going back to specific designs again and again because they sell really well and they're consistent performers for you?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just like making stuff. I mean, the market, it's always, you never know what's going to be hot or whatever.
Sure.
Which also, like, I'll spend a month or two making, 4 knives. So,
right.
But then I'll do, I do like to try and break up like the super intensive stuff with, little quicker batches of stuff just to have more stuff out there and more variety,
Yeah. So you do on average 4 knives as a set or like as a batch that you're working on simultaneously?
Yeah, I'll do usually like 4 to 6 in a batch because like anything bigger than that, it's just going to take me too long to make them. And they always end up needing to be hand sanded at the same time, and that just destroys my elbows and stuff, and my mind standing there sanding. So trying to do smaller batches. Yeah. Because there's like efficiency, because each knife is its own individual thing. It's not like for the same knife, you know. Right. So there's not really a gain in efficiency. Right. Like heat treating, you know, you do them all at once. Sure. But past that, there's not really any gain from doing a big batch.
Sure. So would you say at this point you're where you want to see your work at, or what's the next step for your work and your company and what you want to do?
Yeah, I mean, I've just been enjoying going crazy with patterns and stuff and all that. Yeah, I mean, I would like to eventually do more like production work, get stuff more automated, you know, to have what Neil Camermore calls mailbox money, you know, stuff. You know, more steady income that with that coming in, you know, you can focus more time on the big stuff and not have to be stressing so much, you know.
Yeah. So give yourself some wiggle room creatively, even more, which, I mean, your work is beautiful. It's already very creative. It's just a joy to take home.
Still trying. We'll be trying all week.
It's gonna be all week. It's gonna be all week. So you're here at the coal shop this week. What kinds of things are we doing? Do you know?
Yeah. We've got a master plan.
You have a master plan.
A pattern that I've been designing that I got Shiloh to make some custom dies. Yeah. To press the shapes.
Actually, we had to go out for those.
Oh yeah, you had to get them
EDM'd.
Yeah.
We've never done that. We've got a shop just up. We're surrounded by these little machine shops. I had no idea how many there are. But no, we gave that to Shiloh and he was like, I don't want to do this.
Yeah, I know. When I drew it up, it's like, I don't know if they can.
Well, it's just the angles and the radiuses and stuff. You guys will have to watch the video to see it. But yeah, it was complicated. But the EDM shop just popped it out. And that what was wild was where the EDM cut had a better surface finish than the bar.
I know the surface finish was crazy on that.
It's awesome. It's awesome what they can do. No, I'm definitely excited to explore that more because, like I said, we haven't really done much of that because we didn't know we had a source. And Logan was trying to get us to buy an EDM. I said, no, I don't want that. It's so scary. So you have a class coming up at the school, at the Cole School of Iron. Yeah. ColeSchoolofIron.com, ColeSchool.com. Tell me about the class. What is it on? When is it? What are you going to teach me how to do?
You taking the class?
I'm going to try to.
Cool. Yeah, we're going to do the integral knife with Charlie Ellis.
The integral knife.
Yes. Because I was going to be forging the integral knife, but I was like, well, we're not just forging it, we're making the whole knife. So
yeah, it's the whole thing.
Yeah.
So we're going to walk away with a finished knife.
We're going to die.
Or die trying.
Yeah. But yeah, we're like my samples here. I'm doing smaller knives because, like, I mean, mainly I do chefs, but there's no point in grinding a 8-inch blade, you know, spending a day and a half grinding the blade when what we need to focus on is that bolster and fitting up the handle, you know. Once you got that, you can build out a bigger blade and you understand the fundamentals, you know. Right.
So that blade that I picked up earlier, that's kind of what we'll be doing in the class is working up that mechanism that you've created to kind of fit everything together.
Yeah. So we're going to be learning all about how to do that, which I like for people who are either more machine minded, you know, and are already, you know, pretty familiar with integrals. This is a good upgrade, you know, to step up your game. But we can also cover like the more basic forge tang and putting the file guide on there and grinding it flat. fit up the handle.
Do you remove that much material? You would take all of that off?
Not the tang, just the shoulder.
Yeah, no, right. Yeah. No, I just cut it off. What do you mean? I guess I didn't realize you removed so much material.
Yeah. So it's not that much, you know.
Which are we doing both in the class? Now we're making 2 knives?
Well, if you want. I mean, it's up to the discretion of the student.
Okay. It's kind of where they're at in their skill level. Mm-hmm. So you can do either one. So the one that you have that's got that is that hexagonal or is that octagon?
It's hexagonal. So you can put a wrench on there and tighten it up.
Oh my gosh!
I've thought of a lot of things. Which that's a Morse taper as well.
So is that 1.42? What is it?
Yeah, it's like 3 degrees altogether.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So yeah, I figured out how to grind that down hexagonal to where it will fit inside that Morse taper for inside that reamer size.
So that fits into a Morse taper chuck?
No, like you drill your hole in the handle.
Yeah.
And then you dream it out with a Morse taper. And then it just perfectly fits in there. Yeah. Which I bed the tang, which you like put wax on the tang.
Okay.
And then you glue it together with the epoxy. And then since the epoxy doesn't stick to the tang because of the wax, you can pop it apart and then
I've never heard of this.
It's cool. So then you can just like perfectly fit it back.
Sure, but you can still disassemble it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, I'll take everything apart. Because like when I'm finishing out a blade, I'll have it sitting in the coffee for a day. Yeah. And while I'm doing that, I can be finishing out the handle, oiling it and waxing it and stuff. So it's nice to save a little time that way.
That's amazing. What is this though? What's going on here?
That's my sea monster knife that I've been working on.
Is this clay?
Yeah, that's clay to figure out how I wanted to shape the handle. It's such a off the wall shape to me. It's like, I don't know if that's going to work,
Sure.
But
so it gives you some context for what you're doing. So, but it's that same thing that you're doing there. So you're doing these really complicated shapes here, but you can do that because you're not fighting your tang.
Yep.
And then you've got that.
Which I got this one too, which is.
Is that a bone? Or is that
no, it's a G10.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
But I ground it round.
Perfectly circular. Yeah. Which
would fit the, I used I had a little 1-inch index mill that I cleaned up the wood and the back of the bolster so that'd fit just perfectly in there.
Oh my gosh. Look at that.
Once you shape the handle, it'll like make those little transitions more curvy and swoopy.
Sure.
So that should be pretty cool.
Really slick. Yeah. Yeah. That's cool. Cool. So I'm not a knife maker. I have a lot of forging experience and making experience. Will I come into your class and be prepared, or should I do some work beforehand? Should I watch a YouTube video? What should I do over here if I'm a intermediate noob?
Yeah, I mean the class is for advanced students.
What if I'm an advanced noob? So do I need? Should I have knives under my belt?
Yeah, I mean it's good to
come armed.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely, more geared towards knife makers that have a good understanding of how to make a knife, and they want to be able to make integrals, or they're already making integrals, just want
that
to
next step.
or just to be more efficient with it. I've got ways of doing stuff that have helped me a lot, so I'll share that and share what I've learned,
Yeah.
And also just laying out and setting stuff up and finding problems easier and solving problems.
Will we be forging in this class?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll forge the knives.
So everything gets forged. Are we going to forge Damascus?
No.
I mean, it's mono steel?
Yeah, mono steel. Okay. I mean, if someone wants to bring in a chunk of something that they made,
Yeah, but it has to be done because we need to roll right into.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're not having people.
Yeah.
Bring a stack of steel to weld up.
Sure.
We got a lot to cover in 5 days.
Yeah.
I I really want everyone to, leave with a finished knife.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
that's the goal.
What about like handle material and all that kind of stuff? Is it open or?
I'll supply some stabilized materials.
Awesome.
I'll pick up some good stuff at Blade Show to bring. Which, like getting ready for the class, I was thinking like, I need to get some material. It's like, it'll be after Blade Show. No worry, just gotta remember to get some at Blade.
Right. Leave with a couple 100 pounds of wood and other things.
Yeah, which I also in Asheville, Weaverville, which is right next to Asheville, where the area I live in, there's a really big, like exotic wood mill.
Okay. Yeah,
that has everything. But that's where I get all my blackwood. That I use, like that hexagonal knife that you were googling. That was blackwood from them. So that's Cormark International, I think it's called.
That's the place that you get the wood from. Cormark International.
Mm-hmm.
That's really cool. I have a local fella that at some point in his life was importing a lot of something from Indonesia, and all the pallets are teak, solid 5/4 teak. So what? Talking to the mic or end?
Talking to the mic.
So anyway, cool. So you'll provide some material. What's the steel? What's your preference?
1084.
1084.
Yeah.
What size stock do we start with?
1 inch round.
1 inch round.
Which I was thinking about getting from Maritime up in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
They've got hex bar.
Yeah.
That's 1080.
Yeah.
I was thinking of getting a bar of that to try out because that's, which like the 1 inch for doing this, I started with 1 inch, but I squished it down first to get more for the heel to have more mass there.
Sure.
I like to start with more like a rectangular chunk of steel.
Okay.
So I'm more, instead of all pushing the blade out, I'm kind of pushing the blade out and pushing the bolster up too to kind of go halfway.
Sure.
So I end up with more of that material to have more flare in the heel.
Yeah.
For
I noticed
comfort.
that on especially on that little guy. That's awesome.
Which that's fun to grind that to shape and smooth it all out and round it.
What do you mean fun?
There's just more to work with,
Sure.
But yeah, just like I'm doing that just on the edge of the platen.
Sure.
I've got a little bit of a radius on the edge of my platen so I can track the belt over like a J-Flex or something.
Yeah.
Softer belt that will conform to the platen.
Jason Knight yelled at me for using a J-Flex belt on a platen, and he called me names. And I felt bad. So it's nice to know that I'm not alone.
Well, what were you trying to do with it?
I don't remember. I don't remember what we were doing, but he was like, "Look at the back of that." And it's J-Flex. Get that off of there.
Sounds just like him.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, for like this stuff that works well, which is like I'll kind of rough shape it in with a X-weight belt, ceramic, heavy duty belt to get it close. And
we've got like five or six grinders in the grinder room right now.
Mm-hmm.
Will that be enough?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Should
get everybody set up.
Yeah, everyone to a grinders.
Yeah, that's gonna be awesome.
Mm-hmm.
We had a couple weeks ago. We had a class and we had a full grinding room, and people were cutting their forgings off on the chop saw, and then immediately moving over and cleaning up, and it was so fun to have so much danger in all directions. It was a good time. It was the first time that we've had that. I think we've had that grinding room full, so it was nice to see. We do need. I'll get the dust collector set up before that would be good because it wasn't on. Yeah,
which I've done a few like beginner knife classes, and those we had like 3 grinders set up, and we had 5 or 6 students. Which like when you have someone who's never ground a knife before trying to grind a knife, you want to be like on them because you can ruin it so fast.
Of course. You just turn the speed down to like 10.
Yeah. So just like hopping around trying to help everyone, but with people who have already, they pretty much know what they're doing.
Everyone that's going to be in our class will be. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. They'll be showing me what to do. So that'll all be good. Teaching me.
Cool.
Which one of the guys who's already signed up, I think he said he was in like heat treating business for 30 years or something.
Very cool.
So it's like, well, I don't need to teach you heat treating. Teach me some stuff. So.
Tell me all the hot takes on heat treating. Yeah. That's going to be super fun.
I'm looking forward to the class. It's going to be fun.
Awesome. Well, CharlesLionheart.com and at Charles Lionheart.
Yeah. On Instagrams.
On Instagrams. Anywhere else that we can find you?
I'm on Facebook, but whatever.
It's around. Okay, well, thank you so much for coming here and shooting this amazing video that we haven't shot yet.
Yeah.
We're super excited to have you and to have you for the class later this year.
I'm glad to be up here. Been wanting to come up here since... Well, Blade Show, like 2 years ago, you're like, we're doing like YouTube videos for people. You should come up.
You want to come over? You're like, yeah. And then it all worked out.
Yeah.
We had to get our place ready for your greatness,
Yep.
So when is your class? Real quick.
August.
Can we put that up on what is it? I can't read that, Evan.
Middle of August something.
Producer Evan. August 14th to August 18th.
Yeah.
And that's here at the Coal Iron Shop, coalschool.com. So, excellent.
See you there.
Yeah. See ya.